So guys, I am back for my first video of 2020 now. I went away for 2021. Great start. Great start. So, my first video of 2021. I am back, guys, after a little bit of a winter break, kind of away from YouTube and away from Formula One, but I am very much looking forward to diving straight in and making some amazing content. And you know what? For my first video of 2021, I was looking a few days ago into some of the changes going into 2021, and I realized that there is so many brand new driver lineups. I almost kind of didn't even realize we have 7 brand new driver lineups. Only 3 of the teams actually stayed with the same drivers from 2020. So yeah, with all of these big changes, I thought it would be a really fun idea to rank the driver lineups from worst to best in terms of individual quality, how they're going to fit into the team, the chemistry that they could have, and how well they're going to work together to get the maximum out of their car and perform to the best of their abilities to get the most for their team. So yeah, hopefully it'll be a fun video idea. And of course, guys, don't forget to let me know your rankings in the comments box below as well. And also, guys, don't forget, if you do enjoy the content, don't forget to drop a like, smash that subscribe button. We are on the road to 100k in 2021. And of course, don't forget to also check out my social medias. Instagram and Twitter will be somewhere in the description down below. So yeah, let's get into it, guys. So guys, we are kicking off fast and furious, and in 10th place I've got the Haas lineup of Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin. Now, putting everything that has happened outside of Formula One to one side for a minute and just focusing on the driver lineup itself and what it means for the team, you know, there's definitely a lot of negativity around that team, and that also kind of goes into my thinking here as well. But in terms of the driving itself, there's no doubt that these two drivers, you know, Mick especially, he's very quick. Of course, the Formula 2 champion from 2020, and even Nikita Mazepin, he does have speed, there's no doubt about it, but the inexperience of these two drivers, I think, is really gonna hurt Haas. When you look at their trajectory, especially over the course of the last couple of years, they're definitely on a downward kind of spiral. And I mean, even towards the latter part of last season, they were kind of almost slower than Williams in some of the races. So yeah, they are definitely struggling, and they're definitely gonna look to kind of get back up the field. But with 2 rookies in the car, I think that is seriously gonna hinder their car development. That lack of experience when something is going wrong on a Friday and you really need an experienced driver to just go, that is what needs to be changed. You know, that's what we need to kind of work on over the next couple of days to make sure we have a solid result at the end of that Sunday. Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin, they're not going to have that kind of experience. They're not going to have that kind of knowledge to talk to the engineers, and they're going to have to take, and it's going to take time to build that communication between the engineers and the drivers. And I think that will seriously hinder them in 2021 and even in 2022 for the brand new regs and how they're going to develop those cars and how they're going to, you know, what aero side are we going to go? You know, how much do we trust these brand new rookie drivers? So yeah, that is why I've rated them as, you know, the worst driver lineup. There's no doubt that they're going to be quick. You know, they do have speed, even though obviously I don't think Nikita Mazepin should be anywhere near Formula One. But nevertheless, I think it's the inexperience that I think will hurt them the most, and why I've rated Nikita Mazepin and Mick Schumacher, the Haas drivers for 2021, as the worst driver lineup. Now, next up in 9th, I've got Kimi Raikkonen and Antonio Giovinazzi at Alfa Romeo. Now, one of the 3 teams that actually kept the same driver lineup, and I was very surprised. You know, I do think that I think they should have brought a younger driver in, and I think that would have been a really nice pairing of an experienced driver and a younger driver, and whether they kept on Giovinazzi or Kimi Raikkonen, most likely Kimi, I think that would have been a really good pairing. But keeping kind of Gio and Kimi, you know, that kind of consistency and maybe that stability will help them, but there's just no spark in that team. When you know, when Charles Leclerc was in there, it kind of gave them something. It was just a spark that kind of lit up the team and really allowed them to thrive, especially having that young guy, someone young and exciting. And I just don't see that at Alfa Romeo. Again, maybe I'll turn out to be wrong, and you know, that consistency and that stability of keeping Kimi and keeping Gio is going to actually help them. But nevertheless, I do think that they will do a solid job. And again, they do have the experience of Kimi Raikkonen, the most experienced driver, I think, in Formula One history now. So yeah, they definitely have that on their side, but I think they're missing that spark, they're missing that youthfulness, and that is why I've rated them down in 9th. Now, coming in 8th place, I've got the Williams driver lineup of George Russell and Nicholas Latifi. Now, George Russell, exactly what I was talking about with Alfa Romeo, someone who has a spark, that youthfulness, that's someone that the team can look up to and say, wow, you know, he's our guy. George Russell has that. He definitely has that. He's like a Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen. He's one of those kind of guys, and we saw exactly what he's capable of when he is given the car. And that's kind of the really important thing with this driver lineup. I do think that they could do a solid job, and I do think that Nicholas Latifi, despite me giving him the worst driver of the season, if you watch that video, I did think that he was the worst of the season. He's still a solid driver. You know, he kind of kept it Well, he didn't keep it clean. He did have a few crashes, but the point is that if these two guys, with Nicholas developing, with George Russell being the future star that he is, it's all about the car that these two drivers are given. And that's why I think this driver lineup is better than the Alfa Romeo and the Haas one, because they do have just that X factor in George Russell. And when he is given a good car, and if he also cuts out some of the mistakes that he made in 2020, he could seriously score points in the Williams in 2021, which would be a massive boost. So yeah, that's why I've rated this driver lineup above the Haas and the Alfa Romeo, because they do have George Russell, they have that X factor. Nicholas Latifi will also improve into 21, and they've also got a really good kind of chemistry together. They kind of created a really nice team vibe at Williams as well, which is great. So yeah, in 8th place, I've got the two Williams boys of George Russell and Nicholas Latifi. Now, next up and in 7th, I've got the AlphaTauri boys of Pierre Gasly and Yuki Tsunoda. Now, in terms of Pierre Gasly, he's coming off the back of a very good season. And yeah, I mean, what a comeback he had in 2020. He really kind of found his mojo. So he's going to be going into 2021 with a lot of confidence. And then we also have a very young and exciting driver in Yuki Tsunoda. I'm a big fan of Yuki. He's doing it for the short guys. He's doing it for the short guys. I'm a big fan of that already. But yeah, as far as the driver lineup, I mean, I think they're going to have a great dynamic. Both very young, very exciting. Both very excited for 2021. I mean, Pierre really wants to deliver because I think he wants to move out of AlphaTauri, so he's going to have a point to prove. And Yuki, from all of the interviews I've seen, from everything that he said, he is coming into 2021 with an attacking mentality, so I can't wait for that. I think the thing that kind of just puts them below some of the other driver lineups, and I mean, guys, in that midfield, we have so many good lineups, so it's super close, but I think it's just that little bit of lack of experience. Yuki is not proven yet, so I can't quite give him that stamp of approval and say, yeah, he's better than all of these drivers. So that's the only reason why. But certainly Pierre Gasly, again, he's going to have a big point to prove in 2021, wanting to move out of the team, and I think they're going to work really well. So I'm very excited to see how Yuki Tsunoda will do. He was, of course, the Rookie of the Year in Formula 2, so I've no doubt that he's going to deliver in Formula 1. So yeah, in 7th place, I've got the AlphaTauri boys of Yuki Tsunoda and Pierre Gasly. So we are moving up the list, and in 6th place, I've got the Alpine driver lineup of the returning Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon. Now, the thing about this driver lineup, and the reason why it's in 6th place, is that the potential of this lineup is easily maybe the 3rd or 4th best on the grid, but there's just too many unknowns. Is Fernando, is he going to be as good as he was in the end of 2018? How much has he learned after his, kind of rocky years at McLaren? And then we get to Esteban Ocon, someone who didn't have a very good 2020. How is he going to bounce back? Is he going to make that jump up that he needs to help Alpine maybe even finish 3rd in the constructors? Everything needs to come together, and there's just too many questions. There's too many unknowns. I have a lot of trust in Fernando Alonso. I think he's going to come back and be as good as he was in 2018, and he was bloody good in 2018. So yeah, don't get me wrong. On their day, both of these two guys, this is one of the best driver lineups on the grid on their day. Whether 2021 will be their day, yeah, we're going to wait and see. But certainly, especially with Fernando, I am very, very excited to see how it's going to turn out. So we are into the top 5, and in 5th place, I've got the Aston Martin lineup of Sebastian Vettel and Lance Stroll. Now, very similar to Alpine, there's a lot of questions and there's a lot of things that need to be proven by these two drivers. Certainly as a combination, I think they're going to create a nice little environment at Aston Martin, especially with the team going from Racing Point into a brand new era, becoming Aston Martin. However, when it comes to the on-track, these two guys have a lot to prove. When you look at Lance Stroll, coming off the back of 2020, where he definitely made a jump up from 2019, he still was outclassed by Sergio Perez. And yes, I know he did have quite a bit of bad luck and some, crashes that weren't his fault, but still towards the end of the season, he really kind of tailed off. And then Sebastian Vettel, he is coming off a very tricky situation, very complex situation at Ferrari, and hopefully this brand new environment and a brand new set of green overalls. And how strange is it going to be seeing Sebastian Vettel in green instead of red? I don't even know how I'm going to react to that, but hopefully this brand new environment, a brand new car, a brand new team is going to kind of get his mojo back and get the Sebastian Vettel that we know and love, and get him back just racing at his best and performing to his best. Because again, the potential of this driver lineup, with the experience of Seb and the youthfulness and the quality of Lance Stroll, still developing, still getting better, there's a lot of good days ahead for Aston Martin, and they certainly should be challenging for that 3rd place, especially with their car. So yeah, there's a lot of exciting things I think in the pipeline for Aston Martin, but this driver lineup just has a few questions and two drivers that really need to come out guns blazing and prove a lot of people wrong. So yeah, that's why I've got them in 5th, but nevertheless, a still very strong lineup of 4-time world champion Sebastian Vettel and Lance Stroll, and I've got them in 5th. Now, coming in at number 4, and I must be honest, I really did go backwards and forwards between the 3rd and 4th places, quite a lot. However, in 4th place, I've got the Ferrari driver lineup of Carlos Sainz, the brand new Ferrari driver, and Charles Leclerc. Now, the thing about this driver lineup is that individually, there is no question. They're both exciting drivers. They're both quality drivers, and they're both experienced now as well. They're not exactly new to Formula One. So individually, these two are absolutely amazing. They're box office. They're just great to watch. However, the questions I have over this driver lineup is how are they going to work together? Because even now, Carlos Sainz coming into a brand new environment at Ferrari, and there's already talks of Binotto saying, we can't wait to see how Mick Schumacher is going to do. We're looking forward to maybe even getting him at Ferrari in 2023. Like, there is already those kind of reports coming out that Binotto is saying it, and how does that make you feel, if you're Carlos Sainz? So there's just so many questions I have, not in terms of these two guys individually, but are they going to be a coherent partnership that is going to work together to bring Ferrari back to where they need to be? Because again, Carlos Sainz is not coming into Ferrari to be a number 2 driver. He's not coming in to be a Barrichello to Leclerc's Schumacher, and that is my biggest question. Are these two guys really a good partnership? That's the thing. They're great individually, but in terms of a driver lineup, I think it's going to get very spicy, and I would not be surprised if it gets a little bit kind of hot under the collar between Leclerc and Sainz. So yeah, in 4th place, I've got the Ferrari driver lineup of Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc. So we are now into the top 3, and in 3rd place, I've got the McLaren driver lineup of Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris. Now, this is the kind of the really strange thing about this list, because in terms of driver quality, I think Ferrari have better drivers than McLaren, because I don't think that Lando Norris, obviously he's not quite on the level of Carlos Sainz. He finished behind him in the championship 2 years in a row, and he's obviously not on the level of Leclerc either. And when you look at Daniel Ricciardo, I think Daniel and Carlos are kind of almost on the same level. So that's the thing. In terms of driver quality, I think Ferrari are definitely better than McLaren, but it's all about the driver lineup. It's all about the environment in the team, the coherency of the two drivers. And I think Lando and Daniel, they're going to get the best out of each other, and they're also going to get the best out of McLaren as well. So yeah, I am very excited to see what this driver lineup is going to do. We love these two guys, of course. They're really kind of fan favorites, and I think they'll deliver on track because they are very, very good drivers as well. So yeah, in 3rd place, I've got the McLaren lineup. Very exciting season ahead for that team. And yeah, I've got Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris in 3rd place. So we are now into the top 2, and in 2nd place, I've got the Mercedes driver lineup of Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas. Now, of course, there is actually a little bit of an asterisk to this driver lineup in that Lewis Hamilton officially still doesn't have a contract for 2021, which is really kind of strange within itself, given that he won his 7th world title and he still doesn't have a contract. So I'm kind of making this video going off the fact that he will re-sign at some point in the next 2.5 months, before the season actually kicks off. Now, the reason why I have this driver lineup in 2nd is because Lewis Hamilton, we know what he's about, 7-time world champion. He's a very known quantity to Mercedes, but Valtteri Bottas is not. Now, he had the comfort of, being in the best car of all time in Formula One in 2020, and he did not do a good enough job. In fact, if Max Verstappen did not have all of those retirements and all of those reliability issues, he would have finished ahead in the championship of Valtteri Bottas, and that is just not good enough. If Red Bull closed the gap, and if McLaren closed the gap, or Aston Martin, or anyone else, and really challenge Mercedes for the title, which is of course what we're hoping, and if Valtteri does not improve and does not step his game up, he is going to be out of that team by the end of the season. Now, again, on an individual level, this driver lineup is not, the best on the grid, or even maybe in the top 2, because there are better drivers out there than Valtteri Bottas. But the reason why this driver lineup has just stood the test of time is because they do work together very well. They have a great understanding in terms of course, it is Lewis Hamilton who always goes for those titles and who is the way better driver. But Valtteri Bottas is a great number 2. He knows exactly what he needs to do. And in fairness, although he doesn't challenge for the title, they keep it clean and they do the job for Mercedes that needs to be done. And that's exactly what they did in 2020. So yeah, that is why in 2nd place, purely from the Valtteri Bottas standpoint, I've got the Mercedes driver lineup. And of course, that means that the best driver lineup in 1st place is the Red Bull lineup of Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez. Now, there's quite a few reasons as to why I put this as my number 1. And one of the main ones is because Max Verstappen, of course, we know what he's about as well. One of the best drivers on the grid, the only driver, in my opinion, that even in the same car can hold a candle to Lewis Hamilton. And with the addition of Sergio Perez in 2021, I think I think it's going to come together. I think it, of course, all depends on what car Red Bull gives them from the very beginning, and that's the very important thing about this. Red Bull need to come out of the gates with a very good car if they have any chance of fighting for the title. But when they get there, I think Sergio Perez is a better driver than Valtteri Bottas, and at their best, at their absolute best, and if they get everything together and they come together as a coherent partnership, even though, of course, there are a few questions with regards to how competitive is Sergio Perez going to be after all of those years of not having a good number 2 driver for Red Bull. How is that going to work with Max Verstappen? But if they do get everything together, that driver lineup is going to absolutely kill, and that is why I've placed them as the number 1, because if Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen are right there, I honestly think that Sergio Perez is better than, you know, Valtteri Bottas, and given equal machinery, that would be a very, very tasty battle. I think Sergio Perez is just so hungry for that chance to win more races and maybe even challenge for his first ever world title. And I do think Red Bull themselves are also very excited to see Sergio Perez, an experienced veteran on the grid, see what he can do in that second car. And is it really the car, or is it really the driver? That's kind of the really kind of exciting thing, looking forward to Red Bull in 2021. But again, if they get everything together, that team dynamic and that team partnership, in my opinion, is the best on the grid. Max Verstappen, someone who's going to win championships in the future, and someone as consistent and as solid and as quick and experienced as Sergio Perez. Yeah, that driver line to me is absolutely the best in 2021. Well guys, there you go. That is my video on the top 10 driver lineups of 2021. Now let me know your thoughts and your top 10 in the comments box below. I look forward to seeing what you guys think. Let me know, do you think I absolutely smashed it, or do you think I had an absolute shocker? So yeah, I'm sure you guys will let me know in the comments below. Now I hope you did enjoy this video, and if you did, then don't forget to drop a like, smash that subscribe button, and don't forget to check out my social medias. Instagram and Twitter will be above. And guys, I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.